What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. It's gonna talk a little entertainment news, man. Usually I focus pretty much on boxing and in the NBA, but I'm gonna talk about Eddie Murphy, man. One of the legendary comedians of all time as far as comedy goes, man. I'm gonna talk about him, man. It's been reports come out that he's negotiating a $70 million deal with Netflix to do a stand-up comedy special. Oh, that's gonna be very interesting. Eddie Murphy has been off the scene for a while. He hasn't done a movie, and I don't know how long. It's been years, man. But the classics that he's done: 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cops 1 and 2, Trading Places. The guy has done a lot of great films, man. But as far as a stand-up comedy goes, man, he hasn't done a stand-up comedy in a long time, man. His best one to me was Raw. And it's going to be interesting to see, can he duplicate that as far as great performances of Raw, or can he do something similar to what he did in Raw, man? But he hasn't done any stand-up comedy in years here. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. I'm going to do a parallel to the great Muhammad Ali, as he was forced to retire from boxing in 1967, and he lost 3.5 years of his prime and came back in 1971. Didn't have quite the same reflexes, wasn't quite as fast as he was, but he was still fast enough to beat the top level competition. Lost to Joe Frazier, was able to come back and beat Joe Frazier, and ultimately beat the great George Foreman in Zaire, Africa, stopping him on a rope-a-dope, and was able to climb that mountain and be the king of the hill, as they say. So it'll be interesting to see if Eddie Murphy could be able to come back. Like I say, man, it's not like you doing Raw was one of the all-time great stand-up comedy movies of all time. I put that up there with all the great stand-up comedy specials, man. As far as in the history of comedy, you look at Richard Pryor, to me one of the best. Along with Eddie Hearn, along with Eddie Murphy. You put Richard Pryor, the 33rd one he did was all-time great. You look at Martin Lawrence, You So Crazy, great, one of the great stand-up comedy routines of all time. You look at Red Fox, and all the specials he did. He's to me, he's a trailblazer as far as black comedians and what he's done instead doing stand-up comedy. So it's gonna be interesting to see, man. Can Eddie Murphy get back to that level? Will he be like the Muhammad Ali coming back from the Vietnam, being put on the shelf because there's an opposition toward the Vietnam War? Or will he be the Muhammad Ali after he beat Leon Spinks in a rematch? 2 years later, came back and fought Larry Holmes and was a shot fighter, and basically was beat from pillar to post by Larry Holmes in a fight that he probably never should have took. Will he come back and do a routine? You be like, man, Eddie, man, this not nowhere close to where you was when you did Raw. This is you couldn't, if you was at the last stop, you probably get a polite applause and a few chuckles, but this would be nothing that stand out even that night as far as other comedians that would perform the same night. You don't want to be doing nothing that's not on that level. So it's gonna be interesting to see, man. But Netflix is throwing a big bag at him, $70 million. That's a hard thing to turn. That's something that he can't turn down. Of course, it's gonna be. I don't see him turning that down. He hasn't done any projects lately as far as movies. He ain't done stand-up, like I said, in years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, man. But I just saw this story, thought it'd be interesting, man. I know you're looking at me like, damn, JB Sports, you just basically do boxing and the NBA. But hey, I'm gonna be doing a little entertainment if I see it warranted, man. It's got to be some special, like Eddie Murphy. Like I say, Eddie Murphy's, to me, he arguably is the Michael Jackson of comedy. You look at it. If I had to rate the top 5 comedians of all time, I would probably have Richard Pryor 1, Eddie Murphy 2, Martin Lawrence 3, Red Fox 4. I'm going to maybe put George Carlin 5. George Carlin was a great comedian too. Got to give him credit. This ain't just about black comedians. George Carlin was a great comedian. He'll probably put my top 5 comedians of all time. So, like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see, man. We'll see what Eddie Murphy done, man. Like I say, he's done a lot of great movies, man. Coming to America, Nutty Professor 1 and 2. Playing those different parts, playing those different characters in Nutty Professor series is just a great acting, man, and great comedy. in itself. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he does this, man. As he, he'll probably be talking about recent events, what's been going on. He'll be talking about a lot of things that currently been going on, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how his stand-up routine goes after all these years of not doing stand-up comedy. And then, like you say, you're doing the Netflix is putting $70 million behind you. You got to come up with something special, man. You got to come up with something that's parallel to Raw. And after being out of comedy, stand-up comedy, all these years, it's been interesting to see how he does. So we'll see what happens. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.